Aparyaptam tarashmakam balam bhishma birakshitam paryaptam tvidam etesham balim bhima birakshitam. Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by Grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhima, is limited. My accent too much for you? You okay? You can hear what I say? You can hear what I'm saying? Like my accent is not too bad?
Don't speak too fast.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So purport. Herein, an estimation of comparative strength is made by Duryodhana. He thinks that the strength of his armed force is immeasurable, being specifically protected by the most experienced general, Grandfather Bhishma. On the other hand, the forces of the Pandavas are limited, being protected by a less experienced general, Bhima, who is like a fig in the presence of Bhishma. Duryodhana was always envious of Bhima because he knew perfectly well that if he should die at all, he would only be killed by Bhima. But at the same time, he was confident of his victory on account of the presence of Bhishma, who was a far superior general. His conclusion that he would come out of the battle victorious was well ascertained. I'll go to text 11. Well, maybe you can repeat after me. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yata bhagam avashtita Bhishmam eva biraksantu bhavanta sarva eva hi Ayaneshu cha sarveshu Yata bhagam avashtita Bhishmam eva biraksantu Bhavanta sarva eva hi Ayaneshu cha sarveshu Yata bhagam avashtita Bhishmam eva biraksantu Bhavanta sarva eva hi. Anybody? Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yata bhagam avashtita Bhishmam eva biraksantu Bhavanta sarva eva hi. Ayaneshu, in the strategic points. Cha, also. Sarveshu, everywhere. Yata bhagam, as differently arranged. Avastita, situated. Bhishmam, unto Grandfather Bhishma. Eva, certainly. Abhirakshantu, should give support. Bhavanta, you, Sarve, all respectively. Evahi, certainly. All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army. Duryodhana was praising the prowess of Bhishma further considered that others might think that they had been considered less important, so in his usual diplomatic way, he tried to adjust the situation in the above words. He emphasized that Bhishmadev was undoubtedly the greatest hero, but he was an old man, so everyone must especially think of his protection from all sides. He might become engaged in the fight, and the enemy might take advantage of his full engagement on one side. Therefore, it was important that other heroes not leave their strategic positions and allow the enemy to break the phalanx. Duryodhana clearly felt that the victory of the Kurus depended on the presence of Bhishmadev. He was confident of the full support of Bhishmadev and Dronacharya in the battle because he well knew that they did not even speak a word when Arjuna's wife Draupadi, in her helpless condition, had appealed to them for justice, while she was being forced to appear naked in the presence of all the great generals in the assembly. Although he knew that the two generals had some sort of affection for the Pandavas, he hoped that these generals would now completely give it up, as they had done during the gambling performances. So I am very happy, like you are happy also, to be able to show our gratitude to Lord Krishna first, and then Srila Prabhupada. To Lord Krishna, we are grateful that he thought about us while he was in Goloka Vrindavan. He thought about us who are situated on this very lowly earth planet, and he knew our predicament and our unfortunate condition. So he decided to come here and bring his Dham. So we are being happy because we're able to show our gratitude by coming to the Dham and doing some parikram, doing a bit of austerity, and hearing from the Bhagavad Gita. And we also are happy to show our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, without whom we would not be able to understand anything about the Dham. Can you imagine if you would have come here on a tourist visit without having contacted Srila Prabhupada's books? You were just like a visitor coming here, roaming to the countryside and going to Vrindavan. What would you see? And what can we see now? Because we heard from Prabhupada. So we're very grateful that Prabhupada opened up the door of the Dham for us and the understanding of the Dham. We're trying to understand what's going on, right? So, and both we are very grateful. So here also we notice that these verses, the Bhagavad Gita, cannot be understood without Prabhupada's help. Now he goes into the detail of the meaning of the verses, what it really means, right? The first time I bought Bhagavad Gita and I started to read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, it says, observing the armies, right? And I thought, oh wow, it's a battle, a story of a battle. So I started to read Bhagavad Gita. And when I went to the second chapter, what happened to the battle? I thought it was going to be a battle, and it disappeared, So then the philosophy kicked in. So therefore, we need the parampara, we need Srila Prabhupada to be able to explain to us all these things, because they're very subtle nuances. Like if you read by yourself this verse, it will never come up with these details that Prabhupada gives in the purport. That Bhishma, Duryodhana had to be diplomatic, and then it's impossible to figure out because we don't have that perception of intelligence that the Acharya has. So Bhagavad Gita is not possible to understand outside the disciplic succession. People get misled. But Prabhupada said there's so many translations of Bhagavad Gita, but none of them made any devotees in the West. But when the Bhagavad Gita, as it is in the line of disciplic succession, properly translated and properly explained, was presented to the public, immediately people surrendered to Krishna all over the world. That's the proof of the potency of the parampara, and the acharyas presenting the Bhagavad Gita as it is. So this year, in the month of January, February, March, April, and May, I was inspired to go out on book distribution. So I was selling Bhagavad Gitas. Now, I used to sell books a long time ago, and 40 years ago, basically. And I noticed a difference in the crowd. One thing I noticed is that 40 years ago, nobody knew anything about Bhagavad Gita in the West. But today, when I was in Vancouver, downtown, there's people from all over the world, there's tourists. It's like in a SkyTrain station, and there's people from all over the world as tourists, and there's students going to school downtown Vancouver, and there's also people going to the airport. And there's a mixed crowd. Every day there's new people. But I noticed that one of 3 people I stopped know what Bhagavad Gita was. 1 out of 3. No lie. A lot of people know about Bhagavad Gita today. A lot more than in the past. And I asked them, you say you know about how did you know? What did you know about Bhagavad Gita? Oh, Bhagavad Gita is one of the main book of metaphysical knowledge recommended online. In the Amazon and all these big library, they recommend Bhagavad Gita. But they don't all present Bhagavad Gita as it is. There's many different versions of Bhagavad Gita. So anyway, we have to understand Bhagavad Gita from the mouth of the Acharyas. So I prepare for the verse number 12 and 13. And here's our Prabhu here, a little late. He can take over if you want. Maybe you can give class tomorrow then. Because he prepared the class. I didn't prepare anything. Would you like to take over? Because I didn't prepare anything for the class. What people want? What would you like? Okay, I'll go on, and then tomorrow you can take over. Sorry. Okay. It's Gopaswami. He's not a Swami, that's just his name, Gopaswami. But he is a Swami also. Yeah, he gave class this morning. Yeah. He's a friend of mine from France. I'm from Canada. We both speak French. So I'm preparing for the next verses anyway. So here we are being presented with the warriors on the battlefield, and we can see a little bit. I don't know. It's very philosophical, but the warriors on the battlefield, they were supposed to be fearless, right? The Kshatriyas is supposed to be there, full fight till death, right? It's not always the case. There's many people who were left unaccounted for on the battle of Kurukshetra because they fled for the hills because they were afraid. Very, very difficult to be a Kshatriya and lay down your life, but they were trained up philosophically and physically from their childhood in the tradition of that caste. So they knew that there was a lot to gain to die on the battlefield. And there was a lot to gain to be the winner on the battlefield. So if they died, they knew that they were going to the heavenly planets. And if they win, they will become very, very rich. Because everybody on the battle would deck themselves up with precious jewels and gold, and all the horses, the elephant, were all heavily loaded with gold and jewels to make the fight lucrative. Because in this material world, everybody's looking for money, right? So the Kshatriyas, they are like that. So they, and also for a materialistic person, attaining the heavenly planet is the goal. Because the heavenly planet is the perfect material pleasure, right? You go there and you get everything, you get everything material that you wish to have, thousands of times better than on the Earth planet. So I will. So, and it's very difficult to attain the heavenly planets. Today I was reading the story of King Muchukunda, who was awakened in his cave, and they were saying that to attain the heavenly planets, you have to undergo many austerities and do many kind of sacrifices. But just by dying on the battlefield, you can attain the heavenly planet instantly. So it was a great attraction for the warriors. So, and then if they win the battle, then they became rich. I was also reading the story of Kalayavan attacking Mathura and Jarasandha attacking Mathura. So Krishna was explaining that after he killed all these soldiers, he had all the booty gathered. Lord Krishna himself gathered all these jewels, all these metals and precious gems on the battlefield, and he presented it to King Ugrasena. It's in the Krishna book. So, like that, it's the Bhagavad Gita may not explain these things in detail, but Mahabharata does. And this way we can understand a little bit more about the culture of 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago is a long time, 100 years is a long time, 200, 500 years a long time, 1,000 years a long time, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. It's a real long time. We see how things changes so fast in a few years. What to speak of 5,000 years? So, but there's a detailed description, and we receive this knowledge by the hearing process. So the Bhagavad Gita does not fail to deliver what it claims. Like I had lung problems, so I went to the library, like where they sell books in front, on the other side of the Samadhi there. There's a bookstall, and there's a Gomata there, where they sell cow products. And I was told to buy Shyavana Pras. And I was reading what they claim on it. They claim it can clear up your lungs, and they claim it can... Actually, they claim that it can cure you from tuberculosis. Well, if you go in the West and you have tuberculosis, you have to undergo 6 months of intense antibiotic treatment. They rotate them. They give you a certain type, and then they give you another type. They give you another type. So this claim that's on this bottle is not for real. It's a false claim. So in this material world, there's all kind of false claim. They claim things, this, that, But they fall short of their claims. But Bhagavad Gita doesn't fall short of its claim. And Lord Krishna doesn't fall short of its claim. It's the real deal. It's the real thing. So, so when Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Sarvadamam parijaja mamikam saram raja antam sarva papibhu moksha yashmami masucha. Just surrender unto me, I shall protect you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. That's not a false claim. That's a real claim. So I remember reading Bhagavad Gita when I was a non-devotee or trying to become a devotee, and the only verse I remember is that verse. And the only line I remember in the verse is, I will protect you from all sinful reaction, do not fear. So that's the claim that Krishna makes, that if we surrender unto Him, or even if we try to surrender unto Him, He will protect us from all sinful reaction, and there's nothing to fear. So Bhagavad Gita is that book that can actually change our life, like you have experienced yourself. It changed your life, right? Bhagavad Gita. It modifies your course of activities. Me, I was born in Canada, so it's not a very good birth. And anybody born in the West is born surrounded by the four sinful principles of meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, gambling, and all the concomitant distress and suffering that accompanies these bad habits. So why was I born in such a condition? And why was I subjected to so much distress in this life, the early part of my life? I've thought about that, and I thought that it is actually Lord Krishna's mercy, because in my past life, I think I was a devotee, because that's what the nectar devotion claims. Those who take up devotional life in this life, they were devotees in their past life. That's what the nectar devotion says. So if I was a devotee in my past life, I must have fell down to have to take birth in this atmosphere. I must have performed sinful activities before I left my body in my past life. Or not only that, but I must have incurred sinful tendencies, like bent of mind, like different anarthas and different tendencies in my heart that carries all these sinful activities, a certain mentality. And to be born in a miserable condition is a way to curtail or cut down this mentality. It's not a bad thing. It's what I needed. And the net result was that being pressured in such a way, I was able to accept, or we were all able to accept, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, and by following, we were corrected from our tendencies and purified of our sinful reaction and hook on to devotional life again. So, Krishna says, I shall protect you from all sinful reaction. Even if you fall down, you're protected, because Krishna will create a situation where you'll be forced to confront your anarthas and confront your condition. And if you are honest, you will make the right choice and surrender. So even if you mess up, or even if you are not, you abandon devotional life, still nothing is lost, because Krishna has your number and He will bring you back again. So therefore, the verse Sarvadhamam Parijaja is a real claim. It's not a pretentious claim. It's actually true. So, and as we go along in our devotional life, we're kind of forced also to apply Bhagavad Gita for real, and not just like in theory. Of course, the theory is good, because if we have the knowledge intellectually in our head, then we can draw information when time is needed and try to apply the information. If we don't read and we don't memorize, or we don't know enough, then that information may not be available. So we're advised by Prabhupada to read seriously his books, so that when it is needed, we can call upon different instruction that he gave and apply them. Because, like it's explained, the more we try to make spiritual advancement, the more the illusory energy of Krishna trying to stop us. Of course, the illusory energy doesn't act independently of Krishna. It acts under Krishna's will, but it is meant to purify us. So, if we make progress, or we have a chance to make tangible progress, the illusory energy will come and say, "Hey, wait a minute, you sure? Are you like really serious about this, or you just think you are, And then she put a test to verify if we're actually eligible for the next step. So if we're eligible for making a lot of progress, she double up. Okay, now this time he's serious, so I have to check on him real good. So she double up, and the way she does it, she accentuates the dualities of this world. He accentuated, Oh, you have a big disease, or, something heavy, to rock the boat. See what kind of devotee you are, So, but the idea is that this morning, Prabhu gave a class about fear and courage, right? Remember his class about fear and courage? So, what is really courage? What is real courage? Because sometimes courage is not recommended. Sometimes courage is not good. There's higher qualities than courage. I'll give you an example. When Kamsa heard a voice from the sky when he was riding Devaki's chariot after she got married, he heard a voice from the sky. Hey, you fool, you're going to get killed by the 8th son of Devaki. So he was ready to kill Devaki. And Vasudeva, her husband, was there. Now, he could have been courageous. He could have said, okay, Kamsa, you rascal bum, come and fight like a man. What would have happened? Kamsa would have killed him and would have killed Devaki afterwards. But he didn't act foolishly. He acted wisely. So, because he was in control of his senses, he was able to reflect quickly on the best course of action, not act out of impulse. And he pacified Kamsa. Oh, my great brother-in-law, you are so truthful. You're so wonderful. I promise I'll present you all the children for your whatever you want to do. I'll keep my promise. And then he was able to get away with it, right? And in the material world, there's a lot of courageous people. Non-devotees, they'll jump up airplane, they bungee cord and jumping, and boxers, and or suicide bomber. I don't know. There's so many courageous people, but they're foolish. So to be very courageous means to actually believe in Krishna and hold our ground. No matter what Maya presents into, of course I should not speak too loud about this because Maya will get on my case, But I'm not any kind near a Maharati at all. I'm just a simple devotee trying to understand the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. And but my experience is that when there's some challenges, we have to tolerate it. We have to tolerate and understand that nothing will really happen as long as I follow the four regulative principle and I chant Hare Krishna. Whatever this illusion is, it's not gonna conquer over me, because Krishna will protect me. But if we become afraid due to a lack of maturity in our faith, and then we panic, in other words, we throw Krishna out the door, and then we'll become vulnerable and we'll become prey to the action of the material energy. So to be very courageous means to actually believe in Krishna's word and experience his word in our life. So remain we don't react, we just let it come, let it happen, whatever it is. And let me take shelter of Krishna. And then we will see that we'll go over that obstacle. Sometimes it has to do with our ego, our false ego, that I'm very proud myself. I noticed that many times in my life. My pride is very high because I'm not very advanced devotee. So the pride will interfere sometimes. So I have one example of this, maybe not a very good example, but a personal example. That what time the class is over? Is it over now already? What time? 6:15?
Yeah, at least
6 o'clock? Okay, so the question answer period is at what time?
Yeah. We started late. We started 6:15.
Oh, okay. So the question period, it was at 6 or something?
Yeah, Jennifer.
Okay, so we can,
Say what you have to say and then ask the questions.
so right now we can, maybe I can stop and go to the question answer. Okay, let's do that. So I'll cut that off. Huh?
Right in the middle of the sentence.
Oh, you want me to finish it off? Okay. All right, no problem. Okay. So about pride. Me, I've been a devotee for 42. I joined in 1973. Been a devotee all my, since I was 22 years old. And towards the end of now I'm 64, and when I was 50, I started a vegetarian lunch program at two universities in Vancouver. Simon Fraser University and University of British Columbia. So I was selling prasadam for 12 years. And then I went bankrupt. The thing changes and it's charged me money and I had to give it up. So, but I still needed money, and barely all my life, I practically never worked in the karmi world, somehow or other, when I was. So I had to find a job. So I found a paramedic job. You follow a 2 weeks course, they give you a diploma, you can go work up northern Canada in an oil field, and it's very easy. You stay in a trailer all day. Barely anybody gets injured, and you can hear and chant all day long, and you get paid for it. But to do that required that I surrender a lot, because I didn't know anything about the internet. I had to be introduced to the internet, and all this. And then I had to go in the work field, and I was thinking, why is Krishna doing this to me? I serve him all my life, and I'm at the end of my life. I'm supposed to be renounced and go to the Dham, and I'm forced to go work at the karmis, What are you doing, What's going on here? I don't like it, But as much as I don't like it, I had to do it, It was very difficult. Like, I had to find a job. I give resumes to everybody, and nobody would hire me. So I decided to go up there and go door to door to where the companies were and give all the resumes. And after a lot of tribulation, finally I got a job. So sometimes Krishna ask us to do difficult thing, like to surrender to Him. It's not easy. It's an active process where you really have to get off your, you know what I mean? You have to really be active. You have to work. You have to give it all you got. You cannot just like escape it, Like, oh, Krishna will take care of it here. Krishna will take care of everything. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, You have to do a lot. You also have to do a lot. It's part of expanding the mission of Krishna consciousness. Going a little further down that line for a couple more minutes. I have 5 kids, and when 3 of them were grown a little bit, I was in the Gurukul system in the United States, New York, Gita Nagari, Florida, and things fell apart. So I had all 3 kids, They were educated in Krishna consciousness now. What's next? So I moved to Sharanagati, Vancouver, Sharanagati, British Columbia, with a group of devotees that bought the land before. And we built a school, built a temple. Because ISKCON had no school and no school for the kids. So to provide shelter for the children, we built a school. And we took care of our finances. And so it's an active process. You have to sometimes produce a facility that's not there because ISKCON is not fully developed. So like that, Krishna consciousness requires a lot of practical actions, not just theory. Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions, comments? I hope thing that I talked about was not too confusing and shady. Okay? Makes sense? Thank you.
Unfortunately, I came over in person to hear your talk. You were talking like about heavenly planets and how hard it is to get there. Is it on? Hare Krishna? Is it on? No? It's on. It's not very loud. Okay. How would we say, like, how much effort it takes to get to the heavenly planets compared to Vaikuntha, compared to Krishna Loka? I was reading in the fourth canto today. First it said that if you live 100 lifetimes as a brahmachari, you can get the position of Brahma. But then, of course, I mean, it didn't mean that you become more Brahma. It means you get to be on the Brahma Loka planet. You know, people misinterpret that sometimes. You know, it's like Prabhupada says he started the position of Brahma. Doesn't mean you're Lord Brahma. It means he started the Brahma Loka planet, you know. So,
Okay.
How difficult is it to get to heavenly planets compared to Vaikuntha, and how difficult is it getting to Vaikuntha compared to Krishna Loka?
Wow. Very profound question. I'll tell you when I get there. Well, one thing is, Prabhupada tells us that it's easier to go back home, back to Godhead, and to go to hell. Because to go to hell, you have to drink, you have to eat meat, you have to party hard, you have to make a lot of efforts to go to hell. But to go to Krishna Loka, you just have to chant Hare Krishna, Prabhu, and you'll get there eventually.
Is it just as easy as Vaikuntha, or is Vaikuntha easier because just by following Vaidhi Bhakti we can go to Vaikuntha? Or is Krishna Loka easier because Lord Chaitanya can help us get there?
Put it in your mouth.
Well, I think we're all gopis, right? If I understand it properly. Aren't we all gopis or manjaris? No, I heard that those who are in Lord Chaitanya's movement, it's spoken by Prahladananda Maharaj on the Vyasasan here last year. He said that, no, in Mayapur actually, that in Lord Chaitanya's movement, all gopis, Prabhu, get your sari ready. You can practice at night, you know, in the mirror. I don't know, Prabhu. For me, it's hard enough to remain a devotee until I die. So, but to speak of going to the heavenly planet, Vaikuntha, but the promise is that Prabhupada said, if you're sincere and you prove it by chanting the holy name and following the four regs, Prabhupada will always be there for us, life after life. So, because we're Prabhupada on our side, we have great hope that all these things will happen. When and how, I don't know. But because Prabhupada is the topmost spiritual master, he can carry for you all these things.
That makes it easier than heavenly planets.
We can.
It makes it easier than heavenly planets if we surrender, because heavenly planets is an ascending process.
Yeah, I think you have it right. You're right. He's correct. Because we're just accepting the knowledge, and the knowledge is already there. We don't have to search anything. We just have to apply what we hear. So it's a full proof. Anybody else?
So your remark was, I don't know. But Prabhupada says, yes, we don't know, but Krishna knows, so that's okay.
Okay, that's a good word. That's a good answer. Yeah, right on. Okay. Well, I thank very much everybody to have been. Oh.
Yeah, maybe you could say something about your wonderful community. I just read Jamuna's book, and she mentioned Sarah, your community. how long have you been there? Can you just say anything about it, if you don't mind?
Would you like to hear a little bit? 5 minutes?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Well, Sharanagati's been there for quite a while. It was bought in 1981, I think. And I've been living there since 1992. So a lot of things has happened to Sharanagati, a lot of transformation. One of them is there's a school there. I think the school started in 1995 maybe, but it's been active since 1995, the school. So many children graduated from that school.
How many people live there?
How many people live there? What I'm saying is that as many generation of children graduated from that school, maybe 3 or 4 generations, you know? Young one become older, they graduate, and there's younger one, they graduate. Like I said, it's been there for many years, so it's not. Some people live there permanently, and some come and go. You know, they come, they don't like it, they leave. But there's a core group that's been there for a long time. There's about maybe 75 devotees there.
And how many in the school?
Oh, about 15 to 20 children every year. And I can use myself as an example of what Sharanagati can do for people. I was in ISKCON. I'm always in ISKCON, but I was in ISKCON until 1990, from 73 to 1990. So, and I had family, you know, with kids. And it was very difficult because I needed a stable place. So Sharanagati will give you security because the whole farm is paid for. It's 8 kilometers long, 2 kilometers wide, and it's all paid for. There's no mortgage, no debts, nothing. So if you buy, it's a corporation. It's 50 shareholders, and you can become a shareholder, and you get land. Like I got 7 acres, some have 20 acres, 30 acres. And if you build your house there, like I did, I made some money and I built my house there. And so now you live in a place where you own your own house, there's no rent. The taxes are very low. I pay $400 a year in taxes because it's secluded and there's no electricity. The government doesn't charge much taxes. And so you live on a piece of land that's paid for. You have your house that's paid for. And we rule the corporation. We gave the temple to ISKCON, and the land where the temple is belongs to ISKCON. But the rest belongs to us. In other words, nobody can kick you out. There's no new temple president that came after the old one that doesn't like you, so he just tell you to leave. Or, you know, somebody is like trying to dominate. It doesn't happen there. Because everybody owns their land. So nobody can really control everybody else, you know. And so there's some freedom. And for the children, there's lots of freedom too because it's wide open area. Like my kids, they have horses. They ride around with their friends. And there's education. There's about maybe 12 or 15 Prabhupada disciples there. So there's evening programs everywhere all the time. And right now there's a morning program for the youth every day. And there's always hearing and chanting about Krishna. But you live in a village, so you have friends. Like my kids, they have lifetime friends. Because they were born there. 2 of my kids were born there, and other kids were born in their life friends. They're stable, you know, it's stable. So there's some stability and security. For a grihastha is very needed for peace of mind and going forward. Of course, you need more than that just for peace of mind. You need to be spiritually serious, but at least the foundation is there. So it's like an imperfect Varnashram situation, but even if it's halfway there, it still gives you a lot of benefit. Like right now, all my kids are married, and I have 8 grandkids, and they all live in Sharanagati. My son is in charge of the corporation, is the president, chairman of the corporation. He's 35 years old. And one of my daughter runs the school along with her husband. She's the headmaster of the school. Another daughter have a house there, and my 2 other daughters, they live in my house for the time being. And they don't want to leave Sharanagati. Usually youth, when they turn teenagers, they just want to take off, right? They want to break away from their parents, they rebel. But my kids know they want to live there because it's an extended family. There's support, you know. It's not just one-on-one with your wife or your husband. There's friends. There's aunts and uncles. Like all my grandkids, they have both grandfather and grandmother living right there on the property. So it's like an extended family. And if somebody has a problem, they go see their sister, they go see their aunt, they go see their uncle, you know, grandma, grandpa. So there's easier for emotional nourishment, right? So there's a lot of good things to be said about Sharanagati. The bad thing is that because it's you buy your land, so you own the land. But if you fall down, start smoking pot, well, nobody can kick you out either, you know. You don't want too many drifters. So, but even then, there's this core group of devotees that are serious. So you choose your association. All right, good enough?
2 kilometers by 8 kilometers, is that?
It's 8 kilometers long, and it's about 2 or 3 kilometers wide.
That makes it about 2 or 3.
It's 2,000 acres.
Yeah, 2,000.
Yeah.
Yes, Yamuna Mataji's house is still there.
Who?
Can you repeat that?
Yamuna Mataji.
She left her body.
No, that house.
Oh, her house. Well, actually, the house is still there. My daughter bought her house.
Oh,
And still sulfur in the water.
Water?
Killed
Where's the water coming from?
sulfur. Sulfur in the water. Is it Aspraf you're talking?
What is it?
Aspraf? Is it Aspraf, the place called Aspraf? Saranaga. Aspraf?
Ashcroft?
The village.
Ashcroft is half an hour away. It's a small village. It's not connected to it.
Closest town. Is the closest town.
The closest town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is sulfur.
Hmm?
Salt. Sulfur.
Yeah.
Like in-
Some extent, yeah.
Can you drink the
No, we don't drink the water. We buy water. Sometimes you can drink it if you have a filter.
No, for
Yeah.
for God.
No, you can have a filter that filters the water. Yeah. And the water comes from also springs underneath the ground.
it's like here you need a filter.
Yeah. It's like
So, but how you manage without electricity? There's no electricity, right? No electricity in Sharanagati.
yeah, people have solar panels, they have generators, they have alternative source of energy. Lots of solar panels.
Still you have electricity.
Yeah. I have a washing machine. I have a fridge. You have propane also. You have a propane fridge, propane stove, washing machine. Turn the generator on, do the wash. Everything's there. They have beautiful houses there, like comparable to what you would have in a city. Yeah.
Because you know, when Yamuna Devi expired, so they said about her house. So it's so beautiful, Yamuna's Devi house.
Yeah.
Then she made everything by her own hands, you know. So
It's a Vastu house, like a Vedic design. Yeah, it's a Vedic
so
design.
many different things, small things.
Oh, yeah.
for Decoration in the house. It's just
Yeah, Jamuna Devi was a very refined person. She used to teach the kid calligraphy, stained glass, music, cooking. They learned a lot from her. She's a very spiritually powerful person. When she left, it was hard. Like not the same thing anymore, you know. Yeah. Straw bale and with stucco. Straw bale is, you cannot burn straw bales. Even you put a flame on it, it won't burn. And it's very, very insulating. It's very
What did you call it?
straw bales. A bale made of straw, but it's compacted real tight. That's what it is. Made of straw. It's compressed. Yeah.
It's ecologically
Yeah.
very good, you know.
Yeah.
Very warm inside, you know. You need this kind of a house very keep warm inside.
Very warm. Yeah.
Even outside it's winter.
Yeah.
You know.
And in summer it's cool.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Very nicely made. Okay, time for Arti. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
told us that